And you're welcome back. It's time for the dailies. You might be picking up one or two today, so let's let you know, give you a head start on the headlines that you might be meeting. I've got with me here the delectable. I always say the delectable, regardless of who, but they all are. Mary Bashra-Alimi, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay.
Good to have you here. We're going to start with the Punch newspaper this morning for our headlines. And if you want to join me, let's begin with a big headline on the Punch for July 18th. It is the 18th already. How time flies through July. Audit reports nails Adamu Mishire as Tinubu governor's shop for new chair. Aggrieved NWC members welcome Adamu's removal. NEC meeting postponed indefinitely. The writer continues. Kyari Fontuna take temporary charge. New leaders to emerge at emergency convention. At the top of the Punch newspaper, FG grants 56 import licenses as fuel consumption drops. Did you know that there is a crisis currently in the, well, I'll say petroleum industry. But I'm talking specifically about petrol attendants. If you've driven into a petrol station recently, you'd find that there are only 2 or 3 pumps working. And there have been reports that people are getting fired because there's nobody buying fuel anymore.
Yes.
People have all this power now, so not everybody buys fuel for home use. And then cars, not everybody can afford to go out indiscriminately these days.
Yeah.
So there is that crisis. And there was a report about 2 weeks ago that told about this fact. And it's a big worry now because it's seeming to be the opposite when you think that everything will get better when we remove fuel subsidy. Not recognizing that these kinds of little instances will occur.
It's even more amusing because now people are trying to promote CNG, the alternative to the regular fuel we used to. And besides that, you cannot blame people. More companies are embracing work from home as a permanent alternative.
Yeah.
It seemed like the lockdown was a blessing in disguise. So they feel, okay, they were able to pull that off. Why don't we make it permanent? And do you know where else is going to suffer?
Where?
Workspaces, work hubs, because people will no longer leave their homes to go elsewhere to work. They'd rather just work from home to save fuel, to drive there, and of course, fuel to power there.
Wow, if only you and I could work from home. Let's see what other paper you have, please.
Okay, so here I have the Nation newspaper. And the Nation newspaper has this boldly, drop plan to hike electricity tariffs. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria cautions. APC top positions, why Adamu Omishore lost out. There's a lack of accountability, poor leadership allegations because of resignations. Kyari found her takeover in acting capacities. Al-Makura Kekemeke may be replacements. And here we also have for INEC Tinubu, Abuja residents not superior to other Nigerians. PDP LP lied on electronic results collations. Down here we see varsity workers demand 50 billion naira earned allowances. Now, we know, of course, when you see varsity workers, the first thing that comes to your mind is, no, not strike.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
No, that's what I was talking about. Like, no, not strike.
Okay, exactly
like,
then.
Please.
Not
please,
again.
Not again. When I was in school, every time I see varsity workers, my heart always went straight into my mouth because I'm like wondering what's going to happen. No matter how innocent it is, you just always think there's an underlying possibility of a strike. So 50 billion naira in unpaid allowances is what they are claiming. And you know what's going to follow soon if nothing is done.
Absolutely. These are conversations that have gone on for decades or over a decade. So you can imagine how much of it has accrued into that, or how it has accrued into 50 billion earned, they said. We move on now to our next daily, and that is the Daily Times, where we have these headlines here. Massive shakeup hits APC, conflict with Tinubu loyalist party, financial controversy. Others see Abdullahi Adamu on the highway. At the top of the Daily Times, Abia weeds out 2,300 ghost workers, saves over 20 million naira. Ghost workers have been a thing from time immemorial in the Nigerian system, whether you like it or not. I don't know if Abia's got 2,300. How many more other states could be harboring, and how much more could be saved if there was such a process through all the states?
You know what? Your mention of ghost workers reminded me of an incident that was in the news. I think that was early this year, stroke late last year, of a man whose boss was siphoning funds in the form of his salary. Now, this man had to go get treated at home, eventually to the village, but he wasn't getting paid. But guess what? His boss was taking his
Actually
salary.
taking his salaries. Wow.
So that's kind of like the ghost worker thing. So until someone else was put in that position and the person was able to detect what had happened before the person left, nobody knew what was happening.
Sad story.
Until the man eventually lost his life. The issue of ghost workers is worrisome. People are being paid for work they didn't do, for work that doesn't even exist, positions that do not exist. And these are monies that could be diverted into, you know, increasing the allowances of those who are actually doing the hard work. It's worrisome, really.
Very true. Final headline here for the Daily Times before we move on to your paper here. The naval personnel destroy illegal oil bunkering vessel, seize arms and ammunition. We had an instance of this from a couple of weeks ago. No, only just about a week ago. Goes to tell that there are plenty of these, especially inside of the Niger Delta, where these are a rampant and a very frequent occurrence. Is that the main source? Is that where we could tackle these problems for? I'm not absolutely sure, because that seems like medicine after death. Where these pipelines are being siphoned from, maybe we should start, and who is responsible. The previous one that was destroyed, I think the investigation shows that the owners of the vessel were actually very prominent people in society. Have they been arrested? I don't think so.
Even the issue of arms and ammunition. In the previous newspaper, we talked about the fact that some were intercepted on their way to Anambra. How are these things getting into the country? Who are those who are bringing this thing, putting them through one state to another, putting them in the arms of people who could do a lot of, you know, harm?
What paper do you have next?
Okay, so I have the Guardian newspaper here, and it says Nigeria spends over 99% revenue to service debts as inflation bites harder. There's a photo story here showing revenue as against debt financing, and it's a huge one because the debt financing obviously weighs a lot more. We also have sit at home, businesses, schools open in Enugu as Mba vows to seal locked businesses. Here we also have Amcon Malls liquidation, return to shareholders options for embattled Arik Air. Of course, everyone knows what's been happening to Arik Air for some years now. And then fresh concerns over cancerous sweetener in food, beverages. So this one is aspartame or something like that. I failed to remember how it's pronounced exactly, but it's been in the news on and off, but then it's come again. And they said, according to the reports that we have, it's been said that the quantity in the drink or in the chewing gum or whatever product that has it is usually the approved quantity. What that means is, if you're the type who drinks 2-3 bottles of...
You're taking more
You're taking more than you should.
Oh, wow.
So these are things people need to also take note of as they're, you know, making themselves aware of this cancerous sweeteners.
It's in your everyday life.
And using
you
it
want
right.
to be careful. Go natural. It's expensive being natural in Nigeria, but maybe more natural foods. Well, tell you what, thank you very much, Mary, for joining me. Always a pleasure having you on for the paper review. Hopefully that you got some of that as well, and you know exactly which papers you're going to be grabbing this morning.